everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish out on the movies, and today we are doing a movie review, and it is in response to a fan request. It is called Short Circuit, and it came out in 1986, and it's a comedy. It's labeled as a comedy sci-fi movie. And it stars Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy. And then there's some other people in it who you've seen in other things. The guy who was in Christmas with the Cranks, the one who played the Santa who sold the umbrellas.
Give me your phone.
He's actually in it. He has a main part.
I'm going to look up that guy because Safi was trying to convince me that I didn't know what I knew.
His voice sounds so familiar.
She did the Fargo thing.
But he's younger in this one. Because it was 1986 and Christmas with the Cranks is, I don't know, in the when was that, 1990s or in the 2000s?
Yeah. Well, I can't find him, actually. Oh, never mind. There he is. Yeah, that's the guy. Okay, never mind. Well, anyways, we were recommended this movie as well as another movie, and we decided to do a robot movie week. So this is kind of the start of that. And, I'll just say that, I'm not a huge fan of robot movies or robot anything, because I just feel like a lot of the times you can do the same thing over and over again, which is you have a robot and it's a weapon and there's a big government power that wants it, and then there's the people who get to know the robot and they protect it from the government. And I've seen that before, the Iron Giant. Remember the Iron Giant?
I didn't see that, but I've seen something else. And it seems familiar to me, and I just can't.
Or kind of like E.T. I mean, E.T. isn't a robot, but it's the same type of story.
Well, that's what Ali Sheedy thinks it is at the beginning, because she thinks it's an alien. And then when it falls over or something, she sees a label on it, and then she sees it's for a military laboratory or something, and then she realizes, not the whole story about it, but that it's not an alien. Put it that way. It's,
as I was saying, I don't usually like robot movies, usually, but I thought that this one was good. I thought that it was funny.
It was funny
and entertaining and enjoyable. It kind of felt like 1980s junk food.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know a lot about that. I should probably use Safi's phone to just search the 80s junk food, because I don't know.
You can always say popcorn or...
Well, but I don't know, what does 80s popcorn taste like? There has to be a difference, of 80s popcorn versus 2024 popcorn. Did they put sexuality into the 2024 popcorn?
Well, they didn't
Safi.
eat. In the movie, I'm trying to think, he cooks her breakfast.
That was a shitty breakfast.
And it went all over the place.
He ruined it.
He made pancakes, right?
Yeah.
And when he mixed it, he didn't have the top on the blender, so it went flying all over. And then he said it was lumpy. Well,
that was really funny. Yeah,
you're not supposed to have smooth pancake batter. It's supposed to be lumpy.
Yeah, he's like, it's still lumpy, and then he keeps on mixing. It just goes everywhere, and So as I said, I really like this movie a lot. It's like 1980s junk food, kind of, but not in a bad way. It's just that it feels like a movie that you could watch to make yourself feel better if you're sick or something. And it also feels good in the sense that, we've seen movies nowadays where they'll have a good idea. Like last year, there was a movie called Megan, and it was a robot movie, and it was terrible, and they ruined it. But they had a really good idea. And it feels like the difference between the 80s and nowadays is that in the 80s, when you had a good movie idea, there would be a good movie that would be made. And nowadays, if there's a good idea, well, good luck on making it into a good movie nowadays. Because, it just doesn't happen. We see it all the time. Like, even the first movie of 2024 that I reviewed, it was a great idea for a movie according to people who knew the true story, but then you get to the actual movie and it's like, ooh. So...
people need to relearn, or whatever, how to transfer a good idea into a good movie.
Yeah, another movie that this reminded me of, because the whole movie, that's a lot of what I was thinking in between the really good jokes. I was thinking that this movie really reminded me of Sonic the Hedgehog, and Safi hasn't seen that either.
Nope.
She's kind of a nitwit, Nimrod.
Yeah, I'm a real Nimrod. I've been in the hospital back and forth driving for the last 2 days.
The village idiot, so she doesn't really know things a lot. And, Sonic the Hedgehog, it was very similar to this movie. And so I would say if you want to have a good double feature, to watch Sonic and watch this.
You mean the new Sonic movie? The latest one?
Just the first one. Don't watch the second one. The second one's a piece of shit.
Oh.
So, the second one feels like a straight-to-DVD piece of shit. So,
it's too bad.
Anyways, for this movie, one of the things I wanted to discuss was the characters, because you have 3 main characters, or actually 4. Let's start off with Steve Guttenberg. Safi, what'd you think of Steve Guttenberg in Short Circuit?
I didn't care for him. I'm sorry. He, I remember him from back then. He was in all these movies, and they were kind of like, it's kind of like, that other guy who now he's expanded on his horizons, but he was in all those romantic comedies, and this guy is kind of in romantic comedy, rom-coms, they're even not as serious as like this other guy. He was with all the main stars, and he's British. I can't for the life of me think of his name.
He's British.
You know what I'm talking about. He was in that
the
young men or something.
Young Men?
He was the bad guy.
What the fuck? Young Men.
The Gentleman?
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
No, the one with the shooting and Matthew McConaughey.
The Good Gentleman. Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Grant.
Yeah, Hugh Grant. He's kind of like it. And
he's different. Hugh Grant is more serious, and he's a jackass too.
That's right. Hugh Grant's more serious. Actually, he's diversified now. He's gotten into more serious roles. But it was kind of like this, though.
Well,
Steve Guttenberg was in all these very light, funny, romantic.
That's because you can't.
And so was Hugh Grant was in all these rom-coms with every famous actress known to mankind.
You can't take Steve Guttenberg seriously.
No, you can't take him seriously.
And one of the biggest issues of this movie, in fact, I think it is my biggest issue of the movie, is Steve Guttenberg. Because this character, he's supposed to be this nerdy scientist guy, and he's supposed to not be able to talk to women, so he's kind of like, well, I'm not going to use the term, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The modern day term that people use to call characters like this. But he's not that character at all. Like, basically, how they make him into that character is like they let him grow his hair out a little bit to where it's like kind of shaggy, but it's always been shaggy. So
he just looks the same.
He's got the sweater on, and it's like there's nothing about him that's like this character. It feels kind of like a slap in the face.
He's never, to me, from what I can tell, and I could be wrong, he's never expanded his horizons. He's always been the same character.
Well, he's good at being the same character.
And that's
it's like, you think about the movies that he's been in. Terror Tower.
Oh, yeah.
He's really good in that. And that's a really good movie. You think about Casper, The Spirited Beginning. He's really good in that movie. He's really good in the Police Academy movies. In fact, he's the reason why there were so many Police Academy movies, is because people wanted to see him come back each movie. But the problem with this is that this character is not like him. And so it's awkward because really the person who should be in this role is someone like Richard Thomas.
I don't agree with that.
Someone that
Marco can just keep saying it, but I don't agree with that at all.
Because Richard Thomas deserves to be in everything, number one. And number two, you need to have someone who you could believe could be this character. And I could not believe that Steve Guttenberg could be a scientist weirdo who can't talk to women. Right, Safi?
Yeah, but what's funny is he's kind of... his best friend. I would call him his best friend, and also his co-worker. He's Indian.
Ooh.
And Asian Indian, and he's hilarious. He just makes all these remarks, and he's just
he's great.
He's funny throughout the entire movie, and I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think that guy's been in a lot of things. But I mean, he helped the movie. I think he helped a lot. And so did the robot.
Yeah, the
robot and him, to me, were the best
You're jumping ahead. The subplot with Steve Guttenberg, it literally would have sucked if the Indian guy wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, I think so,
because
too.
he was actually way funnier and better than Steve Guttenberg, because he wasn't supposed to be Steve Guttenberg's character, which was apparently a nerdy scientist who can't talk to women. I mean, to me, it's also kind of like a cutesy thing, a cutesy kind of wink-wink thing where it's like, oh, really? He can't talk to women? He's a nerdy scientist character? Oh, that's so cute. Oh, we love a Steve Guttenberg. It's so cute, babe. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're thinking like the audience is going to be like, oh, this is so cute. Yeah, Steve Guttenberg. And instead, I'm like, this casting sucks. Should be Richard Thomas. He's got that big mole on his face.
I don't agree, but I don't know who it would have been. Because he was around, and wasn't he around in those days?
Yeah.
So he probably could have done
Safi,
it.
he was alive in since the 60s or 70s. Of course he was around in those days.
Well, I mean, at the age to do it.
Who else would play it? Who else could play the character?
I have no idea. They had a whole, this was the, what'd you say it was? The Breakfast Club cast.
Oh, no one from the Breakfast Club. Even Anthony Michael Hall couldn't have been that.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure who they would have
I think Richard Thomas. You always call on Richard Thomas.
If you don't know, we did a Richard Thomas week.
Yeah, because...
And we discovered that, a lot of people know him from the Waltons, and that's about the only thing they know him from.
I started a cult that worships Richard Thomas.
But he is very capable of playing many different characters.
He can do anything.
And he's really good. And so maybe he could do it. I don't know. But he is capable of playing a multitude of characters, whereas Steve Guttenberg is not.
No, he just plays...
One
I'm just a funny, nice guy. I'm Steve Guttenberg, and this doesn't really sound like him, but, I'm a nice guy, and, That's what he is in everything he's in. And then, so we're done with him. What about Ali Sheedy? Well,
I didn't like Ali Sheedy at all.
Yeah, I didn't really like her.
She was whiny and loud and
obnoxious.
And I didn't like her character at all.
The thing is that I did like her in the sense that she did a good job because she did play the character 100% like they wanted her to be.
Yeah,
Like
she did.
she was that character. But the sad thing is that I think that like Ali Sheedy is one of those actresses who's like a big disappointment, because like every time she opens her mouth, it's like something. It's a big disappointment. Like
I just didn't care for her at all.
like every time she talks, like she's one of those people who just shouldn't talk. Like she should just look. Because in The Breakfast Club, she was great because she didn't really talk that whole movie. She hardly talked at all, and she was much better because she, every time she opens her mouth, it's like you just get really disappointed because of her disappointing voice. And then also in The Breakfast Club, of course, it's disappointing when she gets the stupid makeover. And that's how she looks in this movie, too. She's got that, like,
black hair, it's curly.
Normal girl look, and I'm like, ugh. Like, just, it doesn't look right. It's like, if she's gonna be in the movie, make her look like a vampire, blood-sucking witch bitch or something, because that's her. That's what I want her to look like on screen. I don't want her to look like a...
Well, that wouldn't go with the character
normal
that's in the movie.
Woman. Well, then get a normal woman. Like, Ali Sheedy is not a normal woman. She is a weird fiend. She's a disappointment as well, because every time she opens her mouth, it's like, wow.
I just didn't care for her. I just thought she was loud and complaining and whining, and I didn't care for her.
But it worked because she was a good foil for the robot, because that a robot is the only thing that could put up with her. Because like the robot, that the robot can't have standards for human companionship. So it's like she was kind of like her perfect match. And then the robot himself, though, was the best part of the movie.
The robot was hilarious.
Number 5.
And they had this thing where she introduced him to TV. And one of the things he watched were the Three Stooges. And so either the person making the movie, or he just made the character of the robot really love the Three Stooges. And Steve Guttenberg, who was supposed to be the original creator of the robot, he loved the Three Stooges. And one thing that was funny is they had a whole line of these robots.
Yeah.
They were, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, I don't know, like, almost a dozen of them, and they were programmed to kill. They were military defense weaponry, actually. And what happened is this robot number 5, he gets struck by lightning, and somehow that changes his behavior. And then it all turns out that, he doesn't know that he's a killer. And in fact, he learns to reprogram himself eventually to be, and he watches these TV shows, and he just loves the Three Stooges. And the other robots were set after him, and there were 3 of them, and he programmed them to be Curly, Larry, and Moe. And it was funny,
good.
And they showed that. And they did the things, the antics where they punch each other in the stomach and bonk each other over the head, and it was just really cute. And he had made those 3 robots do that instead of being killers. So he took them out of the killer range too. So that was kind of like actually my favorite part when he did that, and then they showed that. And Steve Guttenberg, who knew this Three Stooges, he understood what that was. So, but then you've got this part in the movie where the military, they want to recover this robot and destroy it because they think it's dangerous and it's going to do what it was originally programmed to do, but that's no longer the case. Because Ali teaches it the value of life. And if he's disassembled or reprogrammed, that would mean he would be dead, and being dead means you're finished.
Yeah, so he's also kind of like a Frankenstein character.
Yeah.
a little bit. So I thought that was cool. And I don't know, my favorite scene, I just think about Ali Sheedy.
I know. She kind of,
my favorite scene is, I guess the breakfast scene, because I really like, I wish that, like, in the sequel, hopefully, that we just get to see him interact more with the environment and, you know, just do things his way, because it was funny watching him interpret the instructions of, like, you know, flip the fucking tater
sausage.
tots, or was it sausage or tater tots?
Sausage or tater tots, but it was still
No, it was tater
package.
tots. It was tater tots.
It was still in the package, so he flips the package.
Yeah, he flips the package and the pan over. And so, like, I really like that, because it's like, it's classic, like, miscommunication and just misunderstanding.
Well, it's like that children's book with that woman that you tell her something and she does exactly what you say, and it's like a strict interpretation, and it's supposed to be funny. Oh, it's a children's book series with this woman, and she's I can't think of what it's called. It's not something.
Amelia Bedelia?
Maybe, yeah. That Amelia Bedelia, where you say, okay, you need to. I know, just something that would be, if you thought about it literally, and then you did it, it would be wrong, but it was supposed to be funny.
All I remember about Amelia Bedelia was that she was a maid, and that, like, I liked reading her books a lot.
She was goofy. It was funny.
Those are some of my favorites.
It is kind of like in
the third grade and the second grade.
If you know what we were talking about, I mean, I used to, for both of my sons, I went to the library, I checked out tons and tons of books, and we read them all. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like, there was that one time where you read me the Satanic Bible, and
no, didn't.
I was never the same after that.
That's a liar. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
or if there's even such a thing.
Yes, Safi, there is.
Okay, well, that's nice. He's just lying.
But anyways, so that was my favorite scene. But in general, I like the movie quite a bit, and I would recommend it. I could watch it again. It's just, you know, you have to know that, like, look, it's not like the greatest movie ever made. It's not anywhere near being the worst movie ever made. It's one of those that's like, it's really good. Like, it's a nice, good 80s movie. It's nice to watch a good 80s movie, because that's back when they made good movies. And all this stuff is practical effects, too. Nowadays, it would all be computer generated, and, you know, it would look terrible. And they'd suck all the color out. And I did also like the robot dancing with her.
Yeah, they had watched
Saturday Night Fever, which
and
I've never seen, because
I've seen it. I had the album, and
there's a funny story. Deal. There's a funny story about me not seeing that. Is that there's another movie review channel that I used to watch, and the only time that I ever entered, because every week they would do a show, and every week they would have a giveaway or multiple giveaways. And the only time that I entered into a giveaway, I won. And what I won was supposed to be the special edition, anniversary edition of Saturday Night Fever. And instead of that, I got sent A Dog's Purpose. And it had all this shit with it, like it had the bowl and the dog cookbook
on how to make
and
dog treats.
What was really embarrassing was, like, The Dog's Purpose, like, it was, like, so messed up, like, the Blu-ray, like, the package, that, like, it was, like, ripped open, and, like, it was just like, what the fuck is this? I was supposed to get Saturday Night Fever, and instead I got this shitty-ass movie that I'm never gonna fucking watch, and, you know, like, who the fuck cares about A Dog's Purpose? Like, what the fuck is that? So
I sold the cookbook, too.
Yeah, she sold it.
She didn't have a dog.
I gave it to her, yeah.
So.
And I was like, nobody wants to see that. So That's the story of me not seeing Saturday Night Fever.
Well, I saw it, and it's called a classic.
It doesn't sound very good though. Like it just kind of sounds like
It was fun, and we go to
Okay.
disco dancing.
Sure
I'm
you
a
do.
'70s person. That's what we did, and I didn't care for the clothing. You know, the polyester leisure suits. Oh, well, bleh. But John Travolta was the main lead.
John Travolta.
And he was a good, and he still is apparently a good dancer.
I don't like him
No, I don't care for
at
him
all.
either. But he was the big deal
He's John Travolta.
of the movie. And anyway, and that was a million years ago. But they did that. They watched, and this was the '80s, so this is just like the decade after, so it's pretty recent, And so they watched Saturday Night Live, and so the robots learned
Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Fever. So he watches and tries to copy all the moves the robot does. That's why I say it's really entertaining. It's funny, and you just have to since it's just funny and light, and it's not serious.
Yeah.
You can forgive the fact that Ali Sheedy, who's
You can
don't
forgive
care
all
for
of it. Like it,
the
none of
other
these,
thing.
none of these things are deal breakers. And also, the Indian guy's good.
And he's really good.
And
He
the robot.
are my favorite.
Yeah, like the thing is too is that like I think it's sad because they created this robot who's a really good character, and for the sequel, what's that even gonna be? Because like I feel like this is a perfect character, and the only thing is that like where do you put that character next, and what do you do with that character? Because they have a great character, and it's like I bet they're gonna misutilize him and misuse him, and it's gonna be trash. So, even though this movie was really good, the next movie's probably gonna suck.
Now see what happened to the military. They shot down number 5. At least they thought they did. But in the end, what happens is, and they're really gleeful, and they're cheering, and it's really queer. And then when the Ali Sheedy,
Yeah, because they created him.
Right, Steve Gutenberg drive away, the real number 5 pops out and back. He's been hiding, and what happened was he created a decoy version of himself. So they killed a crappy robot that wasn't worth anything.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But it was predictable. I mean, that's happened a lot in these robot movies. These
Well, I wouldn't have thought that.
types
but
of things.
I'm glad that he was saved. And so, therefore, if they'd made number 2, or second movie, there's a lot of things that they could have done.
A lot.
And he could have rescued more robots, or who knows? I mean, the sky's the limit, so it's too bad. Well, I've heard that it's not so great, but we'll see.
Well, the big thing that I saw that pissed me off was that the main characters are not in it. And, even though I don't like Steve Gutenberg or the disappointment Alley, they are the main characters, and the plot is that he stays with them on their Montana farm ranch,
That's
whatever.
right. He inherited a Montana ranch that had 40 acres.
Isn't that convenient?
And she has all these animals because she's an animal rights lover. So she has animals of every description. And she wants, and 40 acres is a good enough property to have all those animals. So they go to Montana. That's the end of the show. But they play the shitty music at the end. I didn't care.
Shitty music?
I didn't care for it.
It's 80s music.
I did not care for it.
Well,
It's kind of a cross between
I don't care for
Saturday
your face.
Night Fever and other crap. All
Other
mixed together,
crap?
like they put it in a blender.
Oh,
I don't care for it.
bullshit. So anyways, in terms of food, I looked up 1980s junk food, and I was able to find something that I thought, I guess so. So I would give this movie a bowl of Totino's pizza rolls and a Coca-Cola, because you could really enjoy that as like a not a meal, but like a good snack. Pizza rolls and Coca-Cola. But the thing is that I do not like Coca-Cola, and I do not really like pizza rolls. I don't jump to have either of those things.
Well,
but if I was given those, I'd be happy. So that's what I would give this movie, because it doesn't deserve like a bad review. It's good though. It's good. Safi?
well, I don't know what to say. I probably, I just had the spumoni ice cream over the holidays. You can only get it the Christmas holidays, if you can get it at all. And according to Buddy Velastro, who's really Italian, it's not the real spumoni, but it's what I'm familiar with and what they've sold over the Christmas holidays. And this was a Kroger brand. I couldn't find it at least a Kroger in any other brand, but it's cherry ice cream, pistachio ice cream, and chocolate, all mixed together, like Neapolitan. So it's like a 3 flavor only of these particular flavors. And it's just something fun and light, and you can't have it all year. It's not even available to have all year, but just that. And it was a fun movie, and it's just nice for people to have fun, and you make up a story. And it was a good character, and what they created the robot to be was a good character. It was funny, and the things that it did was hilarious. And then that Indian he was a scientist. He was hilarious too. I mean, he didn't stop being funny. He was funny the entire movie. So I just feel like, it's something, you don't watch all the time, and it's special. And so we've had a long couple of days. Have somebody.
Okay, Safi, you don't need to do that. That's a waste of time.
Okay, but it was something good and light to lighten up the atmosphere, which has been stressful, to say the least.
Okay.
So that's it. So if you like this video, and if you've seen this movie, or you have another robot movie in mind, all I can think of is Lost in Space.
So, Safi, there's a schedule right up there on the wall, and if you go over there and look at the schedule, you'll see what's on the schedule.
I know, but without looking at the schedule,
I told you a month ago. Why don't you suggest some stuff and look up robot movies? And you're like, no, I don't want to. I know you need me. And so I just did it all myself. And so now you're going to complain that, like, I didn't get to choose anything.
That's okay.
As usual.
I can think of RoboCop, which is kind of different from that.
That movie's a little too adult for you.
It's really violent, but whatever. And then I can think of a Lost in Space robot, which is...
Does that have Dr. Smith?
Yep. That has Dr. Smith. And then there's also... what's that space movie?
The Spaceman Meets the Werewolf.
No, it's... very famous. What's it, Hank or...
Hank?
I can't think of the robot, and he...
Safi, Hanks isn't a robot.
No, Marco. He tries
Williams?
to destroy the
Hank Hill?
spaceship, and he gets... they get him, and it's really... I can't think of what it's called.
Hank from Breaking Bad?
Marco, please. This is a very famous movie. And
it's so famous you don't know it.
Well, I just can't think. Like I said, it's been a little stressful today. I've been at the hospital twice.
Safi, get off of it.
Which is 1,000,000 miles away, and it's cold. We have terrible cold weather, which a lot of people do.
What are you doing?
So anyway, I'll have to look at the schedule. I'll see what Marco came up with. But this was a good movie, and whoever suggested that we watch it, thank you for suggesting it. I appreciated it because it was funny and worthwhile to watch. So thank you. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.